Definitely on the team. Welcome back to BYU Sports Nation. We are live in Studio B, and our eyes are now fixated on our next guest, BYU quarterback legend, and a man who can give some insight into what a competition is like in that regard and what it's like to take over with so many question marks after a notable season. He is Max Hall on BYU Sports Nation. Max, how are you this fine morning?
Guys, it's good to be on. Thanks for having me. I got a little bit of a surprise for you this morning, though, okay?
Okay.
Because I'm here with a current BYU legend right here, a former ALAQ Creek quarterback, now BYU track star Logan Hubler.
Let's go, Logan!
Hubler!
Let's go, Logan!
Logan, why are you hanging out with Max Hall today, Logan?
I'm just back in Arizona. Had to come say what's up. Max is my guy, so.
Max like, dude, let's get you on BYU Sports Nation. Let's go, baby.
I said, dude, I'm about to go on with Spencer. You got to come on and say hi to the guys real quick. So
that's awesome.
Fantastic.
That's awesome.
Max, before we get into the quarterback situation here, I do need to bring up the fact that your good buddy Lee Camard was in studio with a recruit during the break. He said, just make sure you ask Max what happened head-to-head when we played football against each other in 9th grade. So
Lee was playing football?
How would you like to respond to that question?
Playing football, but he looked ridiculous in his football. You know what I mean? Like his pants were too short, and like he's 3 feet higher than everybody else out there, and just Okay, I'll admit this will make Lee feel good because me and Lee were kind of basketball arch rivals growing up. You guys got to understand this. Like I'm talking all the way down, junior high level through high school, and we had some great battles. But the one time we did compete in football, my 9th grade year, it was Stapley Junior High versus Taylor Junior High. Max Hall quarterback versus Lee Camard quarterback. Lee Camard got the best of Max Hall that day. I'm 0-1 against Lee Camard in football.
Wow. There's not a lot of people that can say that. That's crazy.
You didn't lose much at BYU, Max. You didn't lose in general.
7 times
lose
total.
Much.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. Lee Camard has something over you. That's weird.
Weird that Lee would want me to bring that up.
Yeah, weird that Lee would bring that up. Exactly right. Exactly.
Yeah,
hey,
of course he would. Hey, I got him a couple times on the basketball court, though, so at least I got that on him.
Okay, we'll throw that back in his face next time. Okay.
Wow. Okay, I didn't know you could hoop, Max. There's nothing you can't do. Let's talk about this quarterback situation because certainly BYU is going to figure out who the guy is. They've got 3 dudes: McKay Hillstead, Trayson Bourget, and Bear Bachmeyer. They're going to start camp Wednesday. In 2006, you were on the squad. John Beck was the guy. You became the guy in 07, but in spring, you competed with Cade Cooper, Brendan Gaskins, and you won that. That was spring. It's nice to go into the summer and player-run practices knowing you're the guy. BYU didn't have that luxury. All this happened in the spring and summer. So how would you assess sort of what has to happen in a short amount of time for BYU to have success at the quarterback position?
Yeah, it's definitely they're in a tricky spot, but it's not an impossible spot because I think that they have enough pieces in place, a coaching staff in place that can get the starter prepared and ready to go by game 1. But they're going to need to, it needs to happen quick. And I'm assuming that the coaches are planning out practice plans and scripts that are going to put these quarterbacks in as much game situation type scenarios as possible so that they can really get an understanding of how they react and how they perform under pressure and in different situations. I think they have 3 guys that are all capable, that all have, with McKay and Trayson, it's been a while, but they do have some starting time at other schools in D1 football. You got a guy who is probably going to be the starter over at Stanford, right, coming in. So guys with a little bit of experience, enough experience, and with a good enough team around them that the coaches are looking for who they're going to trust. What guy's going to give us the best chance to win? Who do we trust? Who can understand the offense the best? Who can deliver the ball to the guys, get the ball in the hands of their playmakers, and not necessarily have to go win games, but not lose games, I guess, at first.
Yeah.
So they're looking for a guy that can get it done, that they can trust and execute the offense.
Max, I don't know why the term game manager takes so much negative connotation, but don't you think it's safe and fair to say that BYU is looking for a guy who can be a game manager, especially early in the season, who can distribute the ball to the weapons around them, not necessarily try and put up gaudy numbers, but just get the ball to your weapons and not turn it over?
That's what you are as a quarterback. You are the game manager. So I don't know why people look down upon that. That means that you know what's going on. You understand the scheme. You understand the defense you're going against. You get your team into the right play, and you deliver the ball to the right spot. Timing, decision-making, and accuracy. I mean, that's what being a quarterback is. And then when we have to, when it comes down to certain situations, there's going to be times where we have to actually go out and make a play or do something to win a game. But I think BYU, like everybody's been talking about, is going to have a great defense. They have great weapons on offense. So they need a guy, more importantly, who can get the job done execution-wise, who can be a game manager. And then in there, you'll find, what is this person like in pressure situations where he needs to step up and make a play? How does he perform, and who gives us the best chance in that aspect?
Along those lines, last year BYU was 4-2 in one-score games. You can certainly beat a team by 2 scores, then it's not a one-score game. But in the close ones, BYU did really well. Now, to me, that was the difference between 10-2 and probably, if you play that season out, you're probably 8-4 more often than we want to admit. But it was 10-2 because BYU did have some very clutch moments. How do you get that person prepared for that? Because what you can't replace with Jake Retzloff, even though some of his numbers weren't bonkers, was the experience of a fifth-year senior.
Yeah, and say what you want about Jake and last year, but I thought he did a phenomenal job last year to give us that season and to win those close games.
Sure.
And so, yes, were there games that he could have been better in and gave us a chance? Yeah, but to go 10-2 with the schedule we had last year in that conference, I thought Jake did a heck of a job. So yeah, it definitely, I think everybody felt excited and comfortable with him coming back. Now that he's not, now there's uncertainty, and uncertainty can bring a little bit of fear or anxiety of what's going to happen. But what I do know is they have talent in that quarterback room, and they have guys that can make plays. They have guys that are capable. And so that's why I said creating these game-like situations in practice and putting them in pressure situations to see how they're going to perform is going to be very important for the coaches to understand how they're going to make a decision on the starter going into the season.
Max Hall is with us on BYU Sports Nation. Max, you were in not necessarily a quarterback competition like this, but you still had to go in and earn the spot in 2007 and replace John Beck, who was a fantastic player and one of your close friends.
Shout out Mountain View.
There's pressure that goes into that. So having gone through what you went through, what advice would you give to all three of these quarterbacks as they try and be the next guy after Jake Retzloff?
Yeah, I think, I was in a similar situation when I got to the Arizona Cardinals too. I was undrafted. I was 4th on the depth chart going into a QB battle. And I remember I had a conversation with Kurt Warner. He actually gave me some really good advice, and I was kind of getting down on a few things because I wasn't getting a lot of reps, and the other quarterbacks would, do really well or throw a touchdown pass, whatever. And I'd be like, dang, like I'm not even getting a chance to do that. And I started getting down on myself. And Kurt said, Max, the best thing you can do is not worry about the other quarterbacks. The only thing you need to worry about is yourself. And take each rep, each play, and make it the best rep and play you can make it. And those things will start adding up. And enjoy it. Enjoy the moment, seize the moment. So that's kind of what he told me. And so that would be my advice to these guys. Help each other, work with each other. But at the end of the day, just focus on getting better every single rep. Okay, and let those reps start to add up, and that's how you become a leader. That's how you become the starting quarterback. It doesn't just happen overnight. You don't just all of a sudden become a leader of a team. But hopefully 2-3 weeks from now, there's enough body of work where one day the coaches are going to be sitting there and being like, yep, I think we can all agree that's our guy. That's who we're going into the season with because of the body of work. So I say really there's 3 things that they need to find in this quarterback. And number 1, I talked about earlier, the guy who can run the offense and understand it, but they need a guy who can be tough, and they need a guy who can be a leader. So they're looking for those 3 things. So toughness, leadership, and then the ability mentally to handle and run the offense. So They don't have a lot of time, and so there is going to be a sense of urgency. I assume in practice, it's going to be fun to watch.
There's nothing more compelling in fall camp than a quarterback battle. I mean, it's good for business. It's good for the program, let's be honest. Last but not least, one of the BYU signees who's on a mission at quarterback, Eno Watson, was your quarterback before he went on his mission. He's getting back this fall. I assume he's going to gray shirt and then be in the mix in January in that room. What can you tell us about Eno Watson and who this kid is and what BYU is getting when he returns?
Yeah, I'm a huge Eno Watson fan. Obviously, played for me down here at ALA, was a transfer, so I got to coach him for his senior year and had a phenomenal senior year. But what I think BYU fans need to know, kind of, they're getting a great kid who's not only a phenomenal football player and talented and charismatic and a great leader, but a kid off the field that everybody at the school loved, all the administrators, other coaches. He was very respectful. Just a great kid who everybody you just can't help but root for him. That's the kind of kid Enoch is. But he's a gym rat. He's was always asking me to watch film and get better. And I tell people all the time, like, it's hard to outwork me, especially like watching film and doing football stuff. It's hard to outwork me. But there were days where I'm like, bro, Enoch, really? You want to go back and watch more or do more of this? And he loved it. It's who he was. It's his whole life just revolved around it. And so I know that when he comes back, I see him being a guy in the future. I do see him potentially like being a starter for BYU, being the next good one there. So I'm excited to see how his career develops. We got some other great quarterbacks coming into the program as well. So I think BYU is going to be very healthy at that position going forward here in the next few years.
Multi-sport superstar Max Hall on BYU Sports Nation. That includes football, yes, basketball, and pickleball. Max, we hope you're well, my friend. Great to talk with you.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Always good to be on. Appreciate it. Good luck at camp. Let's go, Cougs.
Let's go. Max Hall on BYU Sports Nation.
And Enoch at BYU. And his brother